Hello, everyone. My name is Kamna Jain, and I work with Sector Skills Council, NASSCOM. A very warm welcome to all of you on this Digital Adda Session, our monthly thought leadership session, where we bring you the latest trends in technology and talent landscape. Just like the emergence of the smartphone impacted many industries which were not connected with it, the emergence of Gen AI is leading to severe disruptions across sectors. Today, we are at a transformative juncture where, buoyed by generative AI-led opportunities, India's AI market is expected to grow at a 25 to 35% CAGR by 2027. It is indeed an exciting time with infinite possibilities, where jobs definitely are going to get redefined, but our guess is that fundamental skills may remain the same or they may change. Upskilling at an individual level will be imperative for anyone to remain relevant, along with a growth mindset, creative and critical thinking, ability to operationalize, excel in one's chosen domain, and an ability to take ownership and be responsible. To discuss all this and more, we have a very august panel, and I'm very excited to have these people to talk to and hear from them on their insights. We will talk about how AI is going to impact the future of jobs and skills in demand, along with the practical applications of AI in industry today. So allow me to welcome Mr. A.R. Ramesh, CEO, Team Leads Degree Apprenticeships. We have Balasubramaniam Natarajan, he's Vice President, AI and Analytics, India, Capgemini. We have Manu Menon, entrepreneur and of an early stage startup, ex-Bosch. And I'm happy to jump right into the conversation. My first question is to you, Bala. What are the changes that you're seeing in Gen AI over a period of since it has burst onto the scene? What are the changes that you're seeing?
I think we probably use AI, at least in the traditional sense, without even realizing that we are using AI, right? It's become that mainstream. For example, in our daily lives, you're using an application on your mobile device to either call a cab or call for food. These days, food aggregator platforms in India are very popular. So every time you use such an application, you're already user of AI, right? You just don't realize you're using AI. When it comes to Gen AI, I think all of us probably got to know about Gen AI only after ChatGPT burst on the scene. But I would say for very basic needs of humans, whether it is about agriculture, it is about education, it is about healthcare, generative AI, different people have called it different names. Some people are saying it's like electricity. Somebody else is saying data is the new oil, new water, whatever. But I think it is becoming so mainstream that we don't realize that we are using it, but yet it is transforming the way we live, I would say. I know it's a big statement, but it is transforming the way we live as humans.
Right, thanks. It definitely is. And this question I would open to all panelists that, how is it, as you're saying that, it's changing our lives? What about traditional industries like healthcare, education, agriculture? How is it changing those traditional industries? This is a question which I will, put to all the panelists, and I'll start with you, Ramesh.
Thank you, Kamna, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity as well. And I hope this session helps all the young minds to become more employable and get better at what you're doing. So from a perspective of what's happening in AI, I'll start with one anecdote. I actually attended AI Day by AWS in Bangalore just last week. So there was this advertisement of how AI has transformed farming, where a father and son in Punjab are getting onto a tractor. And the father is so happy that the harvest is really good. And his son says that I'm using these excellent dashboards to monitor real time how my how the crops are giving the yield, and then how the supply chain is working till it reaches the last mile. So that was one example which was very nice to see, where across generations, how people are reaping benefits in a very traditional industry like agriculture. So that was one of the use cases which I saw. Healthcare, I wanted to quote that one of my, it comes in papers also, but I had one personal experience with someone I know where Apple Watch really helped that person from a bad situation with the heart. So there are wearables today which give you advice, which tell you how many steps you need to walk, whether your heartbeats are okay, and there's constant monitoring. And then Gen AI is being used to talk to the individuals as well. So these are just use cases. You said education also, but education today, the pace of learning itself is being customized to a person's ability to learn. So the same courseware is really different for different individuals. Now, not only that, from an industry perspective, today we're even seeing that a lot of functions, for example, HR ops or FinOps, from a T&E perspective, claims perspective, or from a marketing technology where the marketing teams check for plagiarism, as an example. There are so many use cases. AI is being used prevalently in all these fields. So I think it's really important for everybody to understand that AI has permeated to every single job, to every single industry, to every single function. And this change is really, really accelerated in the last 4 5 years and less than a decade. So I think it's very important to be cognizant of what's happening so that that actually sets the tone for how we need to shape ourselves in the future. So I'll stop here and hand it over to Manu.
Sure. Thank you, Ramesh, and thank you, Bala, for those insights. Fully second with many of your thoughts here. And when we look at what's ahead for us with respect to Gen AI in the coming decade, I do think that it's going to be a seismic transformation. And as a strategist, when I think about what's ahead, one of the best ways to do future ball or crystal ball gazing is often to look back into your rearview mirror. And when we look back at the rearview mirror, the last 2 to 3 decades, computing and connectivity has radically transformed everything we do, domain after domain, subdomain after subdomain. Now, if you look at the context of Gen AI, I think it's going to be like an 1879 moment. 1879, because that was the first time a practical incandescent bulb was ever used. And the rest, as they say, is history because we have been using energy in multitude of forms almost for every single application. So just like that, Gen AI, AI at large is going to make every single job more intelligent, faster, and more efficient. Now, double clicking across sector after sector, just like Ramesh pointed out and Bala pointed out, I think we are just starting out. AI is just in its infancy. We're going to have a lot more of implementation of use cases across the board. And we are going to evolve ultimately into a world where AI is going to become our intelligent companions and help us differentiate what is uniquely human about us.
Thanks for that. Would you like to add to that, Bala?
Yeah, I'll just take those three sectors and give you a one-liner on how it is impacting those sectors, right? So, for example, if you take healthcare, even in India, and I say even in India because we think access to healthcare is easier relative, let's say, developed markets in the West where there's gatekeeping models. The key is healthcare providers need to spend more time with patients and less time with documentation. Generative AI is going to help them do that. Similarly, it is going to help significantly on crunching the drug development cycles. Right today, even for a multinational pharmaceutical enterprise, it typically takes many, many years before they can get a regulatory approval. They go through from clinical trial, new molecules, clinical trial, and then testing, and then regulatory approvals. This whole cycle is going to get crunched. This is just on healthcare. With education, I mean, particularly given the audience we have today, no two learners learn the same way or at the same speed. Generative AI is going to literally give each of these learners a personal concierge or a buddy with whom they can learn the way they can learn at the speed at which they like to learn, right? Same with agriculture. Ramesh was talking about farm productivity improvements. You can look at it as better cost control. You can look at it as better farm productivity, both not just from the farmer side, but also remember there are so many enterprises working in agriculture, the seed producers, the crop protection chemical manufacturers, the fertilizer producers. So all of them will use generative AI to improve productivity and make customer experience better. In this case, the customer is a farmer. And lastly, right, before we leave out other sectors, even the government, Bashini is their Government of India initiative, where today a citizen, let's say somebody from South India lands up at Bangalore railway station. They don't know English, Hindi, or Kannada. What do? Right? You need to be able to, get your Gen AI application. You can use your voice. You can get translation of virtually anything around you that you see around you. You can literally take a picture of that railway platform board and you can push it into Bashini and get what you need. So this is how daily life will be impacted by Gen AI.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think to the point, all the points that all three of you have raised, that we are definitely seeing a host of exciting possibilities, especially the vernacular apps which help us navigate and transcend language barriers. Manu, my question to you would be, what are the other exciting breakthroughs as an early stage startup that you are seeing in business applications in your line of work?
Sure. I'm glad you asked me that question, Kamna. And that is exactly what we are after. So I'm founder of a company that is focusing on skill building, personalizing skill building. And one of the fundamental themes we are after is how is the world going to look like in a post-AI world? So across the board, as Bala was talking about as well, what we can see is structural changes on the supply side are going to result in fundamental shifts on the demand side, right? What it means in the concept of education is the ability, first and foremost, to target your training, your education to the ultimate market of singularity, n equal to one. At an individual level, you're able to curate your training programs, education program in line with your natural strengths and weakness. That is going to be a game changer. So think about it like perhaps a Netflix recommendation engine, but an engine that is smart enough to exactly understand your skill sets, what is happening with you, your strengths, your weakness, your individual profile, and be your buddy throughout the way. So that's the first and foremost change that we are seeing. And the second big change is that if you look at intelligent companions, all those non-value adding routine work that are perhaps very important, we have to do, but at the same time, not things we love to do. It could be clerical work, it could be grading, it could be a doubt clearing. All of this can now be done with intelligent AI companions just in the tap of a click, right? And third big thing, and the biggest shift, and the very reason of existence for our company is this. If you look at an AI-driven world, what is going to make all of us different is what makes us truly human. So humans are going to concentrate a lot more on what makes us unique as humans, differentiate as humans. So things like creativity, complex problem solving, communication, teamwork, all of these passe things that we often took for granted, we do believe are going to come to the forefront of such an AI-driven revolution. So ultimately, all in all, with these things, what we can also see is AI is not just going to make education more fun, but ultimately also make it far more impactful than it is today.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Manu. To your point, that, we have intelligent companions who can take the role of a buddy and, guide us individually. There is a question which comes to my mind, that is the role of teachers going to be redundant? All the other tools that we have been using here forth till now for educating ourselves and our students, are they going to become redundant? And my question to you, I would like to put this to Ramesh, that, what are some of the industries or jobs which are most likely to get disrupted as a result of this AI automation, which, we have all been talking about?
Yeah, sure. So actually, you brought in 2 points. One is everything in terms of learning, the traditional way of learning, going to get redundant? I don't think it will become redundant, because there'll be an add-on, if I may. I'll explain what it is, but that's what's going to happen. So the traditional methods will remain, but it'll get augmented with quite a bit of support from Gen AI. And from that perspective, I think the learning will become much more interactive, fun, and better experience. So that's one thought process. And the second question you've been saying, we've been asking is what kind of jobs will get redundant? So I just wanted to share some statistics rather than give specific jobs, because you might have heard that repetitive jobs, especially call center type of requirements or L0 kind of support, these would get redundant, and that's what might happen, is what people would be saying. Yes, while that's true, my take is slightly different. My take is every job in the world is going to change. It's not going to be specific to a particular industry. I'll give you some statistics. The World Economic Forum says that 85 million jobs across the globe will get displaced because of AI. At the same time, the report also says that 97 million new jobs will be created because of AI. So, what does that mean? Net net, you're talking of 97 plus 85. That's the kind of 185 or 182 million new jobs getting created. Because the point is, the entire workforce needs to get reskilled. Now, what do you mean by saying that new jobs will be created? And there's a question, you see, it's there from Advait Murli, and then Amrita has also answered that. So what's happening, and how do you keep yourself relevant, and how do you ensure that you learn the required skills? So that becomes a very, very prevalent question to address. But just before going there, the fact is that every job is going to morph. There's going to be AI, machine learning, Gen AI, that's going to come. So even if you look at software coding, what used to happen 10 years back in terms of 10, 15 years back in terms of traditional object-oriented programming, moved on to microservices, containers, and now it's moved to prompt engineering, where you really need to have the right questions to ask the AI engine. So the nature of jobs is going to shift dramatically in every field, in every industry, in every function. And the entire student community has to work to keep himself or herself abreast of these changes and be relevant. But I'll talk more about this later. But I thought I just will give this flavor for your question right now.
Thanks, Ramesh. Thanks for that. And I would like, Bala, I would like you to, step in here. What is your thought on, these jobs which are getting disrupted, and, let us know your take on it. You're on mute.
So, Kamna, I think maybe a provocative view, but I think there's a lot of bad news that is being sold because bad news sells better, right? I don't think people are going to lose jobs across the board. I don't think AI will take your job, but a person, a human who knows better than you, who can learn AI sooner than you, will take your job. That is the right way to frame it, right? So if you're talking even about programming, you can't say that you will not learn English because you know how to speak the language. You still got to learn your Python and your Java and your natural language processing and how to understand data in different formats. So all of these are important to continue to learn. I don't think youngsters should give up hope saying AI is going to take my job. So what's the point anyway? Right? That's a very defeatist sort of view to take. I don't think that is true. We will find newer jobs, and Ramesh put it very nicely. All jobs will morph, but it doesn't mean all jobs will disappear. It's a very, very important difference.
Manu, what's your take on that?
Sure, fully second the views of Bala and Ramesh here. However, when we look at the larger context and zoom out as to what's happening, I do think that if you look at the future of jobs or future of work, we are at the edge of a massive shift. Shift because the ways we did work before in the industrial world that we know about is coming to an end. The natural way of doing things is coming to an end. And we are, as well put by Ramesh, morphing into an age where we'll have intelligent assistants all the time, 24/7 on the click. So, which also means that as a young individual, what is it that you can do? So, here's a fun fact. No matter how complex an AI system is, it is not able to compete, not as of today at the least, with your brain. If you look at the neurons in your brain, or how the neurons are put together in different neural pathways with synapses in between, prefrontal cortex versus the amygdala, the human brain is able to compute a lot more than ever compared to any intelligent system, unless it's a routine systematic task. And what makes a human brain different? All of that is going to be the greatest imperative for a future talent of today to keep in mind. So I do have a 5-point formula, if I may, Kamna. So the first and foremost thing is we have to realize that many things that were not exactly value adding, but we had to do, like admin tasks, routine work, etc., all of that is going to disappear. Maybe it's not a bad thing after all, because we get to focus on things that are far more important. So that's one. So every student today who is going to take up a job has to keep that in mind. Number two, what can humans do that machines cannot do? There are a lot of things. Machines are very good at many things, but not all the things, at least not yet. So things like creativity, communication, teamwork, leadership, all of these outside of the box skill sets that you have to mold, power skills or soft skills, in other words, are going to be even more critical in the future of work tomorrow. So I think students of today should be wise enough to focus on these. And number three, as we move forward, putting in other words of what Ramesh indicated, morphing of machines with humans, I have a term for it. I call it the human eye intelligence. It's human plus AI intelligence, a world, imagine intelligent factory where humans are working side by side along with robots, collaborative robots, cobots, and working together to get a larger solution done, to get a larger assembly done. A more intelligent, more faster, and number three, more effective. So that's going to be the theme of the game, sector after sector, domain after domain. The number four thing is when you look at what makes humans different, it's also about continuous learning and adaptability. Now, we're all talking AI today because of what happened 2 years ago with the transform model of GPT using as a test. But the fact of the matter is 20 years from now, maybe we'll be talking about something else entirely. It could be quantum. So all the things that we took for granted thus far might actually go through a seismic change in the next 2 decades. So finally, all of this ultimately means that as humans, as young talents today, we should be thinking about how can we be more entrepreneurial? How can we maximize our gains using the technologies at hand? How can we solve problems, solve complex problems of today better using whatever resources that we have at hand? So that would be my take on that.
That's very interesting, that 5-point formula which you shared, Manu. Now I've seen that all of you have been focusing on mostly what the students should do in terms of, being problem solvers, having a creative mindset, and, being entrepreneurial. But I would like to quote a Teamly study, in fact, which says that out of 15 lakh engineering graduates, only 1.5 lakh students are expected to secure jobs because they are not ready to be employed. So is it something that only the universities, a problem with the universities, the curriculum, or is there something that the students can themselves do to be, more employable and ready to join the industry? Ramesh, I would like to hear your thoughts on this.
Absolutely. And this will be a slightly longer one because it's very important to understand. One, the statistics, at the same time, not get demoralized, like what Bala and Manu said, because I think all said and done, let me start with this. The future for India is very bright. The future for our students is absolutely fantastic. And I can tell you that if there are all jobs lost across the world, still India will prosper because offshoring gives them a lot of edge and the P&L will improve. So jobs can get displaced. So there's no need to despair. So that's the fundamental point every student needs to understand. So while all this is true, it is also a fact that this year, even in the topmost colleges, which is IITs, the top 7 IITs, which are the older ones, only 60% of the students have got placements. 40% have not got placed. And this number has dramatically gone up in the last 2 years. The IC report, All India Survey for the Education, also states that the numbers which I spoke about, actually it was about 20% of the folks would really be employable. So what the reports used to say about 4-5 years back was 1 out of 10 graduates actually would find a job. 1 out of 5 engineers would find a job. This is the status in India about 4-5 years back. Now that's become even more stringent because of one, the global macroeconomic conditions, two, also the fact that AI is changing the landscape so much, and associated with that, the IT services, if you see, has really been going through a tough time for the last almost 8 quarters to 10 quarters. Now, all that put together obviously presents itself a challenge. But although all that is there, so does that mean that people will not find jobs at all? People do find jobs. Some of them, of course, go for further studies. Some of them will pick up jobs which are not of their interest, which are also much less paying than what actually they would have got for their education. For example, this year there was a report which said the lowest salary which was offered in the traditional IITs, the older ones, was at 3 lakhs to 4 lakhs. Can you believe that? Because that is abysmally low compared, and the average also used to be about 20 lakhs per annum. It has come down to almost 15, 16 lakhs. So, and the new IITs are even lower by a couple of more lakhs. So the salary situation is changing. The number of people who get jobs where they really deserve a job is also changing. They're probably taking other jobs which are probably not what their dream jobs are. And of course, there is even today in the Times, there is a news article which says 10.2% of people aged between 15 to 29 are unemployed. And this has gone up compared to last year. And women, it's gone up to 11%. So the statistics are there out there. Now, with all this, what do the students need to do? How do you face this situation? And how do you come out of this victorious is actually something where we should be discussing and trying to do the best to help all the young blood who join this. So the first thing I wanted to tell you that the government of India itself is doing a great job by ensuring that there are a lot of vehicles for all the students in India to come out in flying colors. I'll tell you why I'm saying that. The NEP, New Education Policy of 2020, I think was a landmark move by the government. The reason why I say this is education is actually very important, and it has to be imparted with the right blend of both theoretical education as well as vocational or on the job training. Now, India, unfortunately, has historically neglected the vocational training part. So typically, our curriculums are very good. Our theoretical knowledge is extremely good. But what happens when you really come out to the industry on a job? I don't have to tell you guys. You join any IT firm, you will find, because we're talking of AI, I'm just referring to the engineers. The minimum training period is 6 months to 1 year before they get deployed on a project. Now, what does that mean? You spend 4 years, and God knows how much did you pay. You paid maybe 15 lakhs to 60 lakhs or whatever the fees is. And where did all that money go? So if the educational institute is not able to give the skills that are required, where the person becomes productive to the company that is hired from day one, then it's a loss. The education institute has actually not served its purpose. So from that perspective, I think it's extremely important that we recognize that vocational skilling is as important as theoretical learning, and the government of India has introduced this. So the first thing that is happening is there are three ministries: Ministry of Education, MSD, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, and the last one, which is Ministry of Corporate Affairs. All the three ministries in the government of India are actually pushing towards apprenticeships and internships so that students, as part of their curriculum, are able to have a live industry experience to understand how the real world functions, what is the applicability of whatever they are learning in the real world, and ensuring that they become productive to the companies. So that's extremely important. Kamna, you want to ask something? Just give me 2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me finish, and then I know you've been trying to ask me something, but just give me 2 minutes. So, in fact, we are now working with the UGC, AICTE on a couple of guidelines on apprenticeship embedded degree programs. Then there's something which is important for all the students to know. There's something called an ABC credit framework. And I think that's extremely important from what it's just the academic bank of credit, where you can go to your DigiLocker and any student can see the number of credits that he or she has earned because of the courses they've done. Now, by doing vocational training as well, they get credits which are which will count towards. It's like redeeming your credit card points. You can go to a university and say that I've accumulated so many points, and so can I get this degree? Second thing is, just imagine if you're a student, you're coming out with a BE degree from whichever university, take BITS Pilani or NITK or IIT or whichever institute you're coming out from. If you are able to say that, yeah, I hold a degree from, say, BITS Pilani, vis-a-vis, you say that I've got a degree from BITS Pilani, but hey, I also have a certificate from a government body, which is a Sector Skill Council or Board of Apprenticeship Training, where I've got experience working with an Infosys or a TCS or a Deloitte or an Accenture or a Capgemini. Look at the value that will be perceived when you go for a job interview. Now, it is a government-backed certificate along with an industry seal. And that really actually changes the way people look at you, and your employability chances really go up. So one advice I will leave to all the kids, because those were a lot of questions which were coming up in the chat. If you really want to become employable, while you learn the skills, it's not just about learning skills, doing courses and certifications. That's important, but you got to be out there in the field. Look for as much internship opportunities which are there in the industry. Look for apprenticeship opportunities. Capitalize on that. Go work with startups. It's an investment for the rest of your career. Maybe for the first 1 year, even if you don't get a proper salary with the PF and gratuity, but you get a stipend, that is your investment for the rest of your 30-35 years of your career. So please don't look at it saying that, hey, I'm not getting an equivalent of a salary. It's just a stipend, so I don't want to look at it. By the way, today's stipends, even for apprenticeships, run up to 1 lakh. I've got customers who pay more than 1 lakh stipends every month. So it is a farce. It is not right to believe that stipends are only 10,000, 15,000. So there are all sorts of companies, a lot of things happening. I just wanted to leave you guys with this thought, saying that it is important to have practical learning on the job in the field, along with theoretical learning with the university or whichever program you're working on, studying. And I think that will make you a lot employable. Kamna, you wanted to ask me something.
First of all, I want to thank you for bringing out all these points about NEP 2020, academic bank of credits, apprenticeships, the stipends, because that is something that we at Sector Skills Council, NASSCOM, have been, really championing and bringing awareness about this to various colleges who are, which are in our fold. So first of all, thank you very much. That's just very close to my heart, all the points which you have raised. What I wanted to say was that, as we know now, the government's focus is on apprenticeships, and this practical experience can help to give the students an edge, whichever career they want to go for. Do we have a place where the students can log in to find these apprenticeship opportunities? Is there a way to go about it? This is a question for all the panelists, whoever
Absolutely. I'll take the lead on this because I think I can give various options. While I'm sure that Manu, Bala, all of them also use apprenticeships. But this is what we do for a living. So I'll probably give that view. So there are two portals today where you can go and register yourself as an apprenticeship, as an apprentice. So there is a NAPS portal. So you can reach out through third-party aggregators. There will be advertisements. There will be various ways, various channels through which you can seek in apprenticeship. You can talk to your college administration, and they themselves would be able to put you on to apprenticeship opportunities. Now, if you are looking for apprenticeship opportunities, you can feel free to reach out to team leads as well. I can give you the connects of my team. So that's one way to look at apprenticeship. There are two portals by the government which are active today, and a third one which is coming up very soon. So the first one is the NAPS apprenticeship portal. It's NAPS 2.0. That is by the MSD, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. And NAPS 3.0 is in the working, but that will take some time. But NAPS 2.0 is up and live today, where if you join as an apprentice on that government portal, you will get a letter from the government saying that you are an apprentice with this industry, and you will also get some kind of subsidy from the government. There are a lot of operational things that you need an Aadhaar seeded account. We can get into all those details once you log in, once you register yourself as an apprentice. But the fact of the matter is you will get even some kind of a subsidy from the government if you register yourself. Now, for engineers specifically, NAPS is also a vehicle you can use, but there is an other vehicle called NATS. The first one is NAPS. The second, National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, was the first one I spoke about. The second one is National Apprenticeship Training Scheme, NATS, and this is by the Ministry of Education. Here, you can, even if you are an employee, a formal employee who's earning even PF, but if you have less than 1 year experience, you can still join for apprenticeship. And this is limited for technical roles only to 1 year. For non-technical roles, you can be an apprentice up to 3 years. Now, along with this apprenticeship, there are a lot of companies, and we deal with that very importantly. We provide learning as a top-up at the cost of the industry, not from the student. So we give you not only certifications or learning programs on AI, we even provide postgraduate degrees for 2 years, or a degree program if you're just a 12th pass. While you join as an apprentice, within 3 years, you can get a degree on BSc Computer Science AI. So we've got BSc Mechatronics, we've got BBA Retail, we've got a host of opportunities. Now, what this does is you are on the floor learning actual job of whatever you're doing, coding, etc. At the same time, you're getting a formal degree. Now, both through NAPS or NATS, it is possible to do these add-on learning programs. So there are a lot of companies which provide that. TeamLease is one company which really promotes this. And for the industry, this really increases the productivity and reduces attrition. So all the companies are really, really excited to do this. And for students, for you guys, this is a golden opportunity to latch on to this, because it can be a game changer for you as well. And the last thing, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, if you're tuned in with the budget announcement which our Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman did this year, she spoke about internships and a huge subsidy on that. The subsidy in NITS is 4,500 rupees, NAPS is 1,500 rupees, but NITS, she was talking about almost 60,000 rupees in 1 year. So that's something like 5,000 rupees every month. So this is being worked upon by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. I think there's a new portal which is called Smarsh, or I don't remember the name, that's coming up. You can register there, and the companies will put out apprenticeship opportunities, internship opportunities, and you can actually register for that. So these are the various ways by which you can really register yourself as an apprentice, intern, to make the best use of it. I know I took a lot of time, but Manu, Bala, I'm sorry. If you want to add on, please go ahead.
No, thank you so much. Thank you, Ramesh. I think it's very important to have create this awareness about these schemes so that maximum leverage can be taken by learners and students. Before I move on to the next question, I would just want to take a couple of chat questions, and these any one of you, because some of our learners want to know, where do they start to learn AI skills? What's the starting point for them to learn AI skills, or where do they start to have a career in AI? Bala, you want to go?
So I just first want to make a point. Everybody keeps complaining how very few people who are coming out of colleges are employable, Kamna. We all have to acknowledge the fact that many people who are coming out of colleges are not computer science engineers, but everybody is looking for jobs in computer science and coding, right? So we have to acknowledge that. It's very conveniently brushed aside, and we say, oh, these people are coming out, but they're not employable. Remember that one of the things that as learners, this audience should first focus on is, can you, if you're a mechanical engineer, if you're a chemical engineer, how can AI actually transform or impact the industries that you would traditionally seek jobs in? You can still be working at a manufacturing plant, at an automotive company, at a retailer, at a chemical firm, and see how AI can help there, and you can still play a data and AI role there. If everybody wants to do only IT services jobs, maybe because of whatever reason that people choose to, there's obviously a lot of supply and very little demand from the talent side, right? So that's point number one. Secondly, to your point about what should they learn, of course, there are some very basic skills. Ramesh started talking about it earlier in the call. People should still continue to learn Java and Python. You may have a Microsoft Copilot code for you, but that code will not go into production without humans looking at it, reviewing it, fixing vulnerabilities, fixing bugs in it. So if you didn't know how to code well, then you're not going to be able to review code written by Copilot. The best users of Copilot is a good coder. So you can't be saying that, oh, I will Google for the code or pick up a script from GitHub or let Copilot write the code for me, then your job will be gone. You should be a good coder who will now review what Copilot is coding for you, right? That is the second part. Then, of course, there are some clutch of skills that people should learn. It is about understanding data in different formats. What is the data pipeline from a source system to all the way to consumption, natural language processing, traditional AI. All of these are useful skills to learn. But again, people only write on LinkedIn that they are full stack people, but they can't even query data sets which are stored on SQL. So we have to understand in reality what is the essential skill and what is nice to have skill. It's important to go deep. We should all stop learning for exams and scores. We should learn so that we can apply them in the real world. That's my request.
That's so relevant and so apt, and I think that each and every learner should take note of this, and so that these myths are dispelled, that now no need to learn code, and with low code and no code we don't need to. I know everything will be given to us on a platter, and we can just move on to the other things. Manu, what are your thoughts on this question now, which is the chat question, and where do they start to learn AI?
Sure, Kamna. Exceptionally good points put forth by fellow panelists Bala and Ramesh. Want to add on to that, right? So when you're a learner and if you want to learn about AI specifically or in terms of applications using AI, I think there are a few fundamental points that you need to keep in mind, right? And the first and foremost goes to fundamentals itself. So if you want to be good at AI or if you want to be ever good at using AI, you need to be strong at your fundamentals. That's key point number one. So whether it's your math skills, whether it's about linear algebra, whether it's about probability, whether it's about coding skills, you need to be certain about what you're learning, right? Now I'll give you an example. When I was in 11th learning first time about transistors and diodes, little did I ever know that one of the greatest companies that we'll ever know about will be a semiconductor company. Little did I ever know that 70% of the top 10 companies in the world are all invested in semiconductors. So the fact that when you go deep into a subject, whether it's math, it's programming, you're able to uncover a lot of insights that you would not otherwise. So that'd be step number one. Step number two, AI is going to be an umbrella term for a lot of things. Typically, when we have been referring to AI, we used to refer to machine learning, reinforcement learning, etc., all enabled by neural networks. Now, of course, everybody is talking about AI because it's accessible to everybody because of chat GPTs or transformer models or generative AIs. So AI itself will go through multiple seismic shifts. We're going to have far better reasoning models as well coming in. So where do you start? Start with the basics and fundamentals of AI. Start with how machine learning has been put to use decades back. AI itself, start with the very first paper from 1958 to today. How has AI or neural networks or computing evolved? So all of this ultimately will give you a strategic viewpoint as to how to learn AI, then take it step by step, language by language, mechanism by mechanism, and move ahead, right? Number three is, and this is something that we often miss out in our education systems in India. Of course, the fellow panelists and in our discussions, we have been talking a lot about supply side initiatives. But as a strategist, I cannot help but wonder supply is always followed by demand as well. So when we look at demand side incentives, it's about rethinking our approach towards education. So I think one thing that every learner should have on top of their mind is how can I be competitive? How can I be super competitive in this AI driven world? How can I get better insights from information and data that exists in our world? So the fact, like, how do you build the best of what we have ever seen? That is the kind of mindset we must build. So it's not just to do with AI, but to build anything further with AI using the systems of today. What is the next big thing? What is the next big thing in education? What is the next big thing in healthcare? So on and so forth, right? So that would be the third point. And finally, I think it's also really, really important to be curious and keep learning because we are talking about AI as we discussed time and over because of the hype in generative AI. But sooner or later, as we have seen, there's been a lot of investments that's been coming in, and investors, of course, raising their hands and wondering what's going to happen to all that money. Are we actually, is it a race towards the bottom? The fact of the matter is, maybe in a couple of years, things will streamline, but eventually we're going to have a whole new curve. And it could be quantum computing. It could be completely different computing, fundamentals of which we have no clue about. So what can a student do? It's to be aware of it, be curious, keep learning, keep iterating every single day. So that would be a 4-point formula from my side, Kamna, to anybody who is interested to learn about AI or even interested to use AI in solving real world problems.
Thank you for that, Manu. I think I'll just add a bit, my own 2 bits here. That I think first of all, students should find out what is it that they are curious about, what is their strength. Find out where they are on the AI, paradigm. Which level are they in, and which level are they at? And then we have a very beautiful website called Future Skills Prime, where we have courses from the big OEMs. We have the Googles and Microsofts of the world who have put their AI courses onto the platform. We also have bite-sized learning, which is like short primers for you to understand what is AI, to understand applications of AI in various industries, which is a short read, maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes, so that you get your basics straight and then you move on to the courses and the pathways. So I will urge each learner to, once the webinar is over, to go over to our website, which is Future Skills Prime, and check out the courses and the bite-sized learning platforms there. We are in the last, few minutes, and there are some, quick questions that I want to ask each one of you. Okay, so my question is, besides ChatGPT, which everyone knows, which is your secret go-to Gen AI tool that you use in your daily life? I don't want to hear ChatGPT that everybody is using.
Perplexity AI.
Okay, +1. And what about you, Bala?
I use Perplexity as well. I also use Poe. That's the app from Quora.
How do you spell it?
POE.
POE.ai.
That's right. POE is a mobile app. You can download it from your Play Store or iOS App Store, and that's a product published by Quora. The Q&A
And is that for content, or is it for?
Yeah, you can ask it questions just like you would on Perplexity.
Wonderful. Okay, and what about you, Manu?
So well, Kamna, I'm building a company that's very much focused on AI. So across the board, a whole lot of tools. But for general purpose use, I do a comparative analysis with Meta, which has a Llama model, Gemini, as well as ChatGPT. So and Perplexity, of course. So all of these comparative analysis, because once you do a comparative analysis, there are a few fine prints that emerge. So I don't just depend on one chatbot. I actually use a couple of chatbots to ensure we have a thought through answer.
So which one do you use for what? The students will be keen to know.
Yeah. So when it comes to building, one of the things that I've noticed is there are a few resources like open source Llama models, right? And one thing that Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook Meta has been doing admirably is they're ensuring that the ecosystems of today are built and centered around open source movement, and in which you can build your own short language models or domain specific models, etc. So Llama has been of key interest. But along with that, if you look at the build NVIDIA community, a lot of models have been put to forth to test a lot of synthetic data, to use a lot of this synthetic data, etc. So each of these applications, what AI to use varies on what is the question at hand, but my favorites are these.
Okay, thank you for that. We have one more audience question, which I would like, especially Bala, if you can, answer this. What are you expecting when a student enters your company? What is your expectation that the person should know? This is a question from MN Sai Paranati. So, what is your expectation from a person who enters your company or joins your company?
Sure. So we're looking for basic communication skills, Kamna. I'm deliberately starting with a soft skill because it's very critical, regardless of which technology you're going to use. Secondly, as I said before, either Java or Python is a super essential skill in my view. It's a must-have skill. And then the others are nice to have. If you, as Ramesh pointed out, if you worked with a real world firm, we would value that more, even if it's for 4 6 weeks. That's more valuable than any kind of certification because, like I said, even the degree, right? We talked about a lot of institutes. With all due respect, I've also come from some of those, but after the first 6 months in any organization, where you came from really doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what you can contribute as a team member, whether you can bring value to the table to serve customers who are paying us for that service, and can you then combine different skill sets, work with different people with probably complementary skill sets and produce something of value for client. So sorry, there is a movement sensitive lighting in my room which is trying to save electricity. Sorry, the screen keeps going dark often. But I think these are important skills that an individual who will come out of campus should have. And just to add to Ramesh's point on what we are doing on campuses, right? I think it's all about industry, but Capgemini is leading from the front. We work with software tool providers in select colleges and academic institutions across the country. Ramesh made a very good point. It is true that because of the academic curriculum gaps, the industry overall, not only Capgemini, but Capgemini also is doing this where we have to train people for 6 9 months before they become deployable. So what we are trying to do is we are doing a left shift of that 6 9 months where people in their final year can already start training, learning on existing software tools. We will assess them in conjunction with the tool vendor, and we will be able to immediately deploy them when they come on board. That's something that we are trying to do as a company, and I know that some of the other players in the industry are also doing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's very helpful, Vala, for all our listeners. Okay, one last question. I just need one line from each one of you. What is the one thing that you wish Gen AI could do for you that currently it is not able to do?
I'll go first, Kamna. I wish it would be more intelligent and thought through and mature. You don't need to do double check, triple check all the time, right? I wish it's smarter.
So that means we still need humans to do that double checking and triple checking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Bala?
So I have always wanted to sing, but I've not been able to because my voice is very bass. Kamna. I wish I could use text and then it could produce singing in an acceptable tenor and pitch of my voice.
Wow. If you're listening, Manu, you know what is your next
I know, right?
project.
Indeed.
Ramesh?
I will end on a lighter note. This is never going to be possible, but Gen AI is going to help either a male or a female beat the spouse in an argument, then it has reached the pinnacle.
Thank you. Yeah, that I don't think that, I mean, I don't know. Let's see.
We can help you, Ramesh.
Great, great. Thank you so much.
It will need AI plus NI. It won't be just AI. Artificial plus natural intelligence.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for that conversation, and thank you all for your valuable time and sharing your insights from your real life experiences. It's a pleasure to have you, and look forward to more sessions with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Magnificent
Kamna, for the
discussion.
opportunity. Thanks to
Thank
NASCOM
you.
as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.